kind of oozed out and you couldn't eat it.
Yep.
And so I was just like, oh, like it was so visceral, that level where he bit that lobster, that it to me is the most disturbing scene in the movie. That's just that second when he bites into it. But now that he's just eating marshmallow, I'm like, pass me a lobster there, Tommy.
Yeah, he's probably like, oh, this is good. He's really into it.
And what I love most about Tom Hardy is you could tell that he loved being on this movie. And when I first watched this movie, I did my thoughts that I normally do for it. And someone messaged me who was in Atlanta, and they said that they worked with him on this, and they said that he was just so excited to be Venom. And I found this quote from him from Screen Rant where he's just like, I have to say, being a part of this movie and playing Venom is truly a dream come true for me. Because to be brutally honest, I was looking to do a movie initially my son could watch. It appealed massively to me because he's one of my favorite characters, and I chased after this movie both for me and for my son. And you can see that in every second of his performance in this movie.
So that's exactly like almost verbatim what Dennis Quaid said about being in G.I. Joe.
Really?
Was that he wanted to do it so his son could see his dad in G.I. Joe.
And that's why he cut. So, Gar, finish.
No,
sorry.
I was going to say, and that's why he's like, in those G.I. Joe scenes, he's like, send out the sharks. And he's just like chewing the scenery. It's because I feel like he's acting for the audience of his son.
Oh, yeah. Do you think that sounds exactly what Tom Hardy's doing in this?
100%. Sorry, Megan, what were you going to say?
Didn't Gary Oldman do the voice of Master Chief on the video games so his kids would hear his voice playing video games?
Yeah, Gary Oldman. And now his kids' friends think he's like the coolest dad in the world.
Right.
And this movie, I don't know if you remember this, it got a lot of negative press in the beginning. Critics didn't like it, blah, blah, blah. Audiences loved it, of course. But Tom Hardy, he was quoted as saying that his favorite bits of the movie were cut out. And it spread everywhere. But then he clarified and he said, we stuck with the script because we had to. But then we would go off on about 7 hours of tangents where I was just freestyling, talking to Venom. And he's like, nobody would want to watch that. The studio knew what they were doing. But me as a person, I would watch 8 hours of me dealing with Venom. So that's what those comments meant.
I believe, and I said this to my friend Phil, who went, my son and my friend Phil and I went and watched this in the theater during my daughter's birthday party. So we took all the guys and we went out. And on the way home, I said, I would watch a television show of this story with no visual effects, just Tom Hardy talking to Venom.
That's some of the best parts. That one scene where Venom goes hungry or food and he goes, huh? And just on the street and he freaks out. I love the two of them together. I don't know how they did it, but I just loved these two so much.
So Ruben Fleischer, the director, actually said that they got a lot of inspiration wanting it to be sort of buddy comedy. And they got inspiration from 48 Hours and Midnight Run and then the whole horror comedy aspect of An American Werewolf in London.
Okay.
You could see American Werewolf in London with the horror comedy.
Yeah. See, I, watching this, was reminded of not 48 Hours, or another 48 Hours, but Lethal Weapon, the whole Riggs and Murtaugh buddy cop thing. I was like, oh, that's kind of like what's going on right now. We got the crazy new guy.
Who just wants to bite heads off.
Who just wants to bite people's heads off. Really conflicting with like the run-of-the-mill kind of like, I got to get my facts right and do my job, Eddie Brock.
Yeah. Do you think that Eddie Brock was a good investigative journalist?
I don't know. I haven't seen enough of the Eddie Brock show to say. Like we got a little bit of the montage there, but we didn't really get any segments of it. I know that he's a slave to the truth. But I don't know.
So once he learned the truth, shadily, he learns the truth kind of shadily.
Oh no, that's a bad moment. That's the beginning of the character arc of like, hey, Eddie isn't a great guy right now, because first off, he's engaged to this girl, therefore that he needs to put her well-being ahead of his, and instead they have their romantic bedroom time, and there's a moment. So the way they cut it, so my son is 10, and we're in the theater, and it's a packed theater, and they're kissing, and then it cuts to black, and then they're in bed. He gets up and he gets a drink of orange juice, and my son yells out in the theater, he's thirsty from all that kissing. And the place erupts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like the funniest moment of the movie was that. But then he just goes and hacks into her computer and starts stealing definitely watermarked confidential files.
That can easily be traced back to her.
Oh, there's no way they can't be traced back to her.
Yeah, even if he hadn't gotten in trouble with work and been fired and she was exposed, even if things had turned out all right there, she still definitely would have broken up with him.
Yeah. That's right, because you got to trust the person you're with, right? And that's not what's happening right now.
Can we rewind just 1 second? I want to talk about when the symbiote comes to Earth.
Yep.
And so we're reading a lot of interviews, and a lot of these people, for some reason, they're like, oh, we watched Venom. It's not a great movie, but it made a lot of money and it's fun. Almost 70% of the articles say, we don't really like it, but it's good. It's fun. See, but I beg to differ, because at the beginning of this movie, the symbiote crashes, right? It gets with the EMTs on the ambulance, and it takes over the other woman, and it flips. So there's no dialogue, there's no telling, there's no expository dialogue. You just see the thing busting through a metal top of the ambulance, and then it's walking with a broken shin bone that just reforms back into it. So in a 30-second scene...
That part makes me shiver every time.
That's a good scene. And you just know that it can go into somebody else, it can bust through metal, and it can repair itself. With zero dialogue, it does this. That's good writing. That's good filmmaking.
Well,
it really is. Now, I will say, sorry, Megan, go ahead.
Oh, no. In an interview with Collider, Ruben said he wanted the movie to start with a bang.
Yeah, it does.
With an actual bang.
Now, I was watching it, and I said, I feel like I've seen this before, when they have like the symbiote possessed people and they keep changing bodies, and it's like 6 months later, and eventually the zombie walking people come to San Francisco. And it was bothering me, and then it dawned on me today watching it again. They kind of did that bit in the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie with the
oh my gosh,
sphere.
Yeah. But I love Constantine, so I'm down.
No, that movie was another one of these ones that everybody hated it.
I love that. I think it looks beautiful, Constantine.
Oh, it's great.
Watch out, he's going to pull you into a podcast on Constantine.
I was just trying to get Megan to do one with me.
Oh, yeah. I would be all about that.
All right, well, we'll do that after Peter Rabbit.
Reunion podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast.
But
this is the greatest thing.
So we've watched this movie 3 times since December 22nd. And I want to watch it again. I don't know. So, if you think about this movie, it takes about 40 minutes for Venom to get going.
Yeah.
But I don't really mind those beginnings. You have Michelle Williams. You have Riz Ahmed. You have Jenny Slate. You have good actors. Tom Hardy. I love that scene where that guy's like, Tom Hardy's going back to his apartment and this rocker plays music real loud and Tom Hardy just hulks out. Here's
a question.
Yeah.
Do you think he was playing music really loud, or do you think he was playing his guitar really loud?
Oh, it was his guitar really loud.
Yeah, I never saw. I was a guitar player when I saw that scene. I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going to show any sweet guitars, and then they didn't. And I was like, oh, but I always imagined he was just wailing on his guitar. It wasn't just like a CD.
Just being a jerk. But the problem is, Tom Hardy in this movie could have wiped out that guy. Not with Venom.
That's the thing. Tom Hardy himself was like pretty boss. He could have taken down Riot.
He's a bulldog. If he gets a hold of your leg, he's not letting go.
No.
I don't know why he's biting your leg. But still, like I've seen Warrior.
He goes all in on his performances. Maybe he felt inspired in the moment.
Yeah, I just love that. This movie has so much personality. I think that's why. All right, Ant-Man and the Wasp was my favorite 2018 superhero movie, but Venom's number 2, just because they have so much personality to them. They're just weird. They're not like what you'd expect.
So I put Venom in a weird category, and so as a kid, I was like a comic book fan. And then I think Venom was the first cool character that kind of bridged over from like, oh, you can be like a cool kid and still like this character Venom. Remember when Maximum Carnage came out for the Genesis and the Super Nintendo?
No, I never played that.
It was like a game that came out in grade 7, and it really bridged that gap. But Venom is just like this really cool, rich kind of character that is attached to Spider-Man. Like at the hip.
Oh, it doesn't Spider-Man kind of control it because he's good?
Well, yeah, he can kind of controls it, but then the symbiote like takes some of his spider powers. But like the two of them, there's no Venom without Spider-Man. So we were only going to get one solo Venom movie ever, and it had to be good. And this movie just pulled off a magic trick. Like I look at, like I put him in the same categories like Jonah Hex, and so Jonah Hex is like one of my favorite comic book characters. And we got one kick at the cat with the Josh Brolin movie, which was just, you can't even watch it. It makes no sense.
It's not a movie.
It's not a movie. It's parts of movies.
Yeah. With a very sweaty John Malkovich.
We will never get another Jonah Hex movie.
Never.
Like, he's not like, oh, well, Superman, like, I guess that the Brandon Routh one wasn't so great. We'll try it again. They're never going to re-roll the dice on Jonah Hex. So if this movie didn't succeed, we were never going to get another Venom movie. But it did such a great job. Like, we're going to get 1,000 of them. I
hope that. I wonder if Ruben Fleischer's going to come back, because right now he's not attached to it at all.
Yeah, he hasn't said, but Tom Hardy's signed on for 2 more.
2 more?
2 more.
Because if you think about it, this one was really good. So it made $855 million. Sequels normally tend to make about the same, or just a little bit more, depending, like Marvel sequels, especially Marvel sequels kind of make more.
Right.
So if this one, let's say the next one's bad, it's like it's okay. It'll make $600 million.
Right.
And then that's enough for a third one to right the ship. So it's like, if one messed up, we didn't get any more. But if one is good enough for sequels, we could possibly get 2.
I mean, there are lots of perfectly passable franchises out there that just keep making movies and making a ton of money. Like the Jurassic movies, and I mean, I love the Fast movies, but they're not quality cinema, and they keep making a ton of money.
Yeah, like they're
like a weird amount of money, right?
Like 1.3 billion.
Yeah.
But you're completely right about saying that you were only going to get one Venom movie. I read a quote from Sam Raimi, who did Spider-Man 3, and he said that an article about him said he was not able to find the humanity in the character, and he claims that's because the producers forced him to add in Venom. And then after that, that's why this Venom went through so much like back and forth on production, because they were trying to make it fit, make it right, and then Ruben was able to actually give him a heart and a personality and something fun. He had more humanity that people could connect with, and it wasn't just that bad side of Spider-Man.
Got it.
So he's his own character.
And he's likable, right? He's the loser on his planet. He likes Anne. He wants to get her back. He's loyal to Eddie.
He's like, to me, he's like the friend of the guy who wants to date the girl, and so he's like this awkward, like lovable third wheel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You like belong he's kind of like Annie.
Yeah, like the nerdy guy from the Wonder Years who was just there along with Fred Savage and Winnie. Like, he's just that guy. Now, this also has a weird place where the Sony Marvel deal is weird, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like Spider-Man is a Sony property, but they're like in cahoots with the Marvel Cinematic Universe to kind of share that character. And Venom is with Sony because he's a part of the Spider-Man deal and not. So it's, where does that line get blurred? And I think that he would fit nicely in a Thor movie. Like,
I agree.
Oh,
the Adventures of Thor and Venom.
Oh my God. And with Taika Waititi back?
Right.
Just dealing with Tom Hardy?
So did you guys see anything out there when you were looking up stuff about the movie about how there's this whole rom-com vibe that they recut the trailer before the DVD came out for Christmas as a rom-com?
Between Venom?
I read that. I didn't see it, but I heard, like, I read the article about that.
Well, they took a step further and they took on Weibo, which is Chinese Twitter, essentially. They took a comic from somebody. They didn't say if it was made by the studio or if it was appropriated from someone, but they marketed it in China as Venom is the perfect boyfriend. And there's this, I'll have to show it to you. I'll show it to you later, but there's these 4 drawings of Venom as a selfie stick for the girl, Venom as an umbrella for the girl, Venom holding all her shopping bags, and Venom stabilizing her on a tree while she reads a book, because he's the perfect boyfriend.
That's all. And if you think, he's very polite. So there's that scene where...
Apologize.
Yeah, apologize. He's angry. There's a scene where on their bike, And Tom Hardy goes,
apologize or I'll eat your kidneys. But yes.